These interviews in no way reflect the views of Anaiis Productions. This project is in no way endorsed by Anaiis Productions. As students in a continuous state of learning and frequency accretion, we each hold our own unique perspective of the teachings and how they relate to our individual experiences. It is important for viewers to remember that we are in fact self-sovereign beings with free will expression, and we each carry our own perceptual filters with potential for distortion. These interviews are intended to inspire and in no way should reflect upon Elaisa, Anaiis Productions, or any of her work, as there is no affiliation. More information on the AL-Hum-Bhra Magistracy Council of Cos-MY'ahs, the Melchizedek Cloister Emerald Order, Tantra Aura, Tantra Asia, and the Keylontic Science can be found in the provided links below.
Back in 1957, we had to dance a foot apart, and they hawk-eyed us from the sidelines, holding their rulers without a heart. And so with just a touch of our fingers, we could make our circuit beat explode. All we ever wanted was just to come in from the cold. Come in, oh, coming from the cold. Ooh, come in, coming from the cold. We really thought we had a purpose. We were so anxious to achieve. We had hope, the world had promise, for a slave to liberty. Freely I slaved away for something better, and I was bought and sold. And all I ever wanted was just to come in from the cold. Come in, coming from the cold. Please come in, coming from the cold. I feel your legs under the table, leaning into mine. I feel renewed, I feel disabled by these bonfires in my spine. I don't know who the arsonist was, which incendiary soul, but all I ever wanted was just to come in from the cold. Come in, oh, coming from the cold. Please, come in, coming from the cold. I am not some stone commission, like a statue in a park. I am flesh and blood and vision. I am howling in the dark. Longer shadows of the shadows are falling on a payphone by the road. Oh, all they ever wanted was just to come in from the cold. Coming from the cold. Oh, come in, Was your smile's covert complicity debased as it admires? Are you just checking out your mojo? Oh, am I just fighting off growing old? All I ever wanted was just to come in from the cold. Come in, oh, coming from the cold. Please come in. Coming from the cold. I know we never will be perfect, never entirely clear. We get hurt and we just panic, and we strike out out of fear. I fear the sentence of the solitude, 200 years on hold. Oh, and all we ever wanted was just to come in from the cold. Coming from the cold. Oh, coming from the cold. When I thought life had some meaning, then I thought I had some choice. And I made some value judgments in a self-important voice. But then absurdity came over me, and I longed to lose control. Oh, all I ever wanted was just to come in from the cold. Oh, coming from the cold. Please come in. Coming from the cold. Oh, coming from the cold. Coming from.
Does that sound clear to you?
Yes, it sounds very, very good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. This is our first run here on Elaisa Shares, and we are with Anaiis. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Well, I'm going to pronounce it for you because
Please.
it's difficult. It's Anaiis.
Anaiis. Anaiis. There's 3 syllables
Anaiis.
there.
Yes, 3 syllables.
Okay. So this is all fresh and new, brand new platform here for the, I keep wanting to say reality talk stuff, but it's not. This is an entirely new thing. So we're just starting fresh here. And you came to me with an amazing story about the Guardians that you had to share also. You've been talking to them a long time. You've had a lot of different experiences that are, I think, are fascinating, like real 3D type tangible stuff. So maybe we can start with where you live at, and just a little background and stuff like that, just to get it going.
Sure. First of all, let me say I'm so happy to have made this connection. It's been really, really helpful, and it couldn't have come at a more perfect time. So thank you for that.
Likewise.
Yeah, it's been wow. And thank you for taking the time to speak with me about these wonderful things the mystery that we're in. So I live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Big city.
Right in the city there.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been there like all your life, or?
Well, I was born here, and then I left here for many years, lived in lots of different places. And then I came back to Philadelphia in 2009, and I've been here since that time. And a lot of the reason for returning then was family. and financial crisis. I remember 27 and 28. I'll never forget that. 2007, 2008.
There was a lot
Whoa.
going
I was working for a publishing firm, and I watched, I knew, and I saw handwriting on the wall, and I thought, oh my God, this is going to be bad. So I was living in Vermont. I got my real estate license because I thought this publishing, it's going to go under, because, Borders, it was all going on a different direction. And our editor wouldn't listen to me about, we needed an online presence. He just wouldn't listen. So, oh my gosh, so that was a rough patch. And then I got my real estate license in Vermont, and then the housing market crashed. I was like, okay.
Right after.
Yeah. Woo.
Jeez.
All right. Woo.
Yeah. Ready for the ride. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Wow.
So how did you start your spiritual journey? Like how were you raised, like in religion, or what was all this like leading up to all this and the guardians?
I was born with quite a bit of memory. Quite a bit.
Okay. Cellular memory.
Oh yeah. And I was talking, it's such a funny story, but my father's parents had an undertaking business in Philadelphia, my grandparents, and there would be times when we would visit them, and I would be in the room where one or more of my grandparents was working with a deceased person, preparing for their going home celebration. And I would just be talking away to the dead person.
Okay.
And so I was like two years old.
Just matter of factly, like it's normal.
Yeah.
You see them as well as anybody here.
Yeah. Just like talking to my grandparents. So it kind of started early.
Okay.
And the tremendous grace that I have been given in this life is that I had a family who was well prepared for my arrival, and they just left me alone. They didn't try to interfere very much or stop me, and they learned very early that that wasn't going to work, so they stopped trying after I was like 5.
That is a huge blessing. Yeah.
It's an incredible,
like just holding a space for your your passage here.
Yeah. So the family, Christian, Episcopalian. I went to Sunday school for a while. I was in the choir. I loved singing. I still love to sing.
Where were you raised at?
Philadelphia.
That's right there.
Philly.
That's and like your grids right there, Philly.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, I've been so many places and done a lot of grid work. I began doing grid work in the early 90s when I was flying around teaching.
But you're based out of Philly. You would call that your home grids. That's.
I would sort of say this is my physical body in this lifetime. This is this incarnation's grid.
What is your cultural background? Like your bloodlines
and. So my mother is Chinese and Italian, and my father's people, African, Blackfoot, Indian, Scotch, Irish. So pretty much red, yellow, white, black.
Quite a mixture there.
No. Yes, very, very empowered DNA.
Yeah. I mean, you're working with a lot there. There's a whole just spectrum, like a crystal, all these facets. You're a crystal being.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Chris. That's correct.
What is that like? Like just to be carrying that much, the bloodlines, the histories, the ancestral code, the lineage there,
Well,
with the awareness of all this too, and chaos.
Fortunately, that didn't land on me until I hit around the age of 40. So,
you were graced. You were,
really, really blessed. So in childhood, I began having memory, which I would express as obsessive interest in particular cultures.
Mm-hmm.
And so Native American was one of the early ones, and I just absorbed every possible bit of everything and lived that out. And then remembering some really wonderful lifetimes, Venice, Italy, lots, I mean, just it goes on and on and on. And so because I was left alone and I didn't have to answer any difficult questions, I just was able to explore. So that went on for, it was beautiful, really beautiful. So my, what we would call my high sense perception skills were left alone. I had telepathy. I had eidetic memory. I had synesthesia. I had, I mean, there would be things like, cousins and aunts and uncles late for Thanksgiving family, and I would tune in and ask where they were. And I'd get the information, and I'd say to my larger family, like I'm like 10 years old, I said, "Go, they're okay. They're running late because they've had a minor accident with the car, but everybody's okay, and they'll be here soon."
That clear?
Oh yeah, oh
okay.
yeah. And then they would arrive and they would say, "Oh, we're so sorry we're late, but we had a minor accident," and and everybody's looking at me.
And they're just like in complete acceptance, like, "Oh, this is her."
Yeah, my mother was very kind, and when people used to sort of raise an eyebrow at some of the stuff that would go on, she'd say, "Oh, she's just been here before."
And I get the hints that this probably isn't the first time that there's somebody in your family that has this ability. Is that correct? Like, is there other people through the line, grandmothers?
Well, I had on my father's side, one of his father's sister was a renowned astrologer in Philadelphia, and she used her gifts that way. But mind you, we're coming from a Christian Episcopalian family, so there were boundaries. But everybody was really okay to leave me alone. And when I was 8, I came home from church one Sunday, and I said, "I can't go back." And they said, "Why can't you go back?" I said, "Because it's not making sense. They're talking about Jesus, but they're not really connected to what that's really about. And I can't go back. Can't go back." That's how it went. And then I said, "Well, I like the information." So the first time I read the Bible all the way through cover to cover was when I was between 8 and 9 years old. Yeah, it's intense. Intense. And then I would have very intense conversations with adults about what was in that information. Now, during this time, I was also artistically gifted. And that was recognized fairly early. That was recognized when I was 5 by a kindergarten teacher who said, "You need to make sure this girl has art lessons." And that happened. My parents were great. They were fantastic. Art lessons, music lessons, guitar lessons, horseback riding. I mean, they were amazing. And they just left me alone. And then I had singing talent. And when I was 5, I won an audition on a program that was called the Children's Hour. It's kind of like what The Voice would be today.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. And it was all very exciting for my family because they had such high hopes for me. I've been "Oh my God, you came in with all this stuff, and what are you doing?"
Is there any video of that?
Oh no, that was way before video. I just had TV. So the day that my dad and I were to go to New York for the next audition, which I wasn't concerned about at all, I'm coming down the steps, and a very clear voice inside of me said, "This is not for you. This is not your path this lifetime." It was a timeline that I was being presented with. And so I came downstairs, and by the time I got to the bottom step, I was like, "Oh, okay." And I looked at my dad and I said, I can't go.
I mean, that much emotional discipline, just to have that much faith and trusting, that's a lot. That's quite a lot. How old were you?
I was 5 then.
5. Okay.
I was 5. Well, it was very clear. It was like, I was like, okay, I'm not going.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't go.
Were you excited about it before? Like, there was a
Oh,
build-up.
sure,
I mean,
of
there's,
course.
yeah.
Of course, it was lovely to be recognized when I sang like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Right.
It was beautiful. I love to sing.
So how did he respond?
They knew. They really knew. They just knew. Don't push it. Like she's not, they knew.
Mm-hmm. Well, they could feel it from you, like that you
Uh-huh.
weren't. This
Yeah.
wasn't right for
Yeah,
yourself.
the intentionality that came from my side was absolutely crystal clear every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
So, but these things kept happening, and things would, I was, the DNA was fully loaded, right? So this is all going on. And then writing, singing, the only thing I couldn't really dance very well, didn't quite have that together, but everything else, music, I played an instrument, and then I had to choose between art and an instrument, theater, I mean, really everything. So, in my neighborhood, I used to gather the neighborhood kids together, and I would organize, write, direct, produce, and be the costume designer for our neighborhood plays based on the Greek mythologies.
Mm-hmm.
It's really funny, right? When I think about it. So
you organized all this? You put?
Oh yeah. Use my mother's sheets, for togas. It was just.
So you knew all the Greek gods, like all this, like the personalities back then. How old were you at that time?
This was like, this is before they sent me to summer camp.
Right.
Where there was art, theater, music, and it was like, send her to camp, leave my sheets alone, right? So that was before I was, I guess, 12, because that's when I went off to camp. But it was just like that. And so they really left me alone. And we have an amazing art museum in Philadelphia that at the time still does have some separate rooms. Like there'd be a room that was completely, all the pieces in it were from China, from Dynasty, collectibles from all around the world that had come to the museum that were about China and Chinese culture and Islam. And there were rooms, Spanish. I could go and sit in the museum in one of these rooms. I didn't know it then, but I was meditating.
Okay.
So that happened. That was great. And then first really knocked me out. I was a 9th grader, so 13. First year of high school, we went to the Metropolitan Museum of Art on a field trip, and we went into the Egyptian section. We were walking around and looking at stuff, and I thought it was really amazing. Mm-hmm. And I came up to this one case, and I looked inside of it, and I just went, those are my things. What are my things? Those are my things.
Oh my God.
And it was quite shocking to me at the same time, but the recognition was, like you come out of the mall and you turn on your key fob and you go to your car, and it's your car, and it's your car, right?
Right.
And so I thought, oh my goodness. So I looked and well, who is this person?
It's like the jewelry, the stuff they
were wearing around their necks. I mean, it was my stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like I dropped right back into the
Your
memory.
Culture.
Yeah, of using it.
It was like,
This is my stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And so I looked at the name on the informational tag, who those things belong to. One of the daughters of Akhenaten. And I just remembered the name. And then many, many, many years later, when I got to go to Egypt and I went into the Cairo Museum, and I knew that I had to find her mummy, because I had to release the energetics of what had happened there.
Daughter of Akhenaten.
Maritaten.
Maritaten.
Yeah. Oh God, what a mess that was, that lifetime. Anyway,
Okay. All the history's there of who that is, so we don't need to go into it.
we don't need to go into it. There are many, many other histories, Chris.
Renditions, I should say.
Yeah. So I had the blessing of being able to go through a good part of the world to reconnect, to do the grid work, to do bring in the DNA activations and the healing that I needed to do based on those incarnations, or probable cells, or however you want to think about it.
Right.
You know?
Probable cells, the timelines, and things.
Oh, sure.
Incarnations. Yeah.
So that was started when I was like 13. And then the spontaneous out-of-body experiences, bilocating, just went on and on and on. And went on and on. And I just relaxed, right? Every time something would come up, I'd go, oh, and then I would just relax.
Did you have experiences in the pyramid at all? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, when I went there in 90.
Okay.
It was nice because I went with a friend, and when
any
we got
bilocations like at the pyramid?
No.
Okay, all right. Just curious.
No.
Good.
No.
Yeah.
But when we went down into the King's Chamber, there were many, many people in there, and I just kind of, did a little wiggle, and the place cleared out. And my friend and I got to do a meditation in there by ourselves for like a half an hour.
Okay. What was that like?
It was amazing. And the memory of that, like when I got out to the pyramids, we went out on camel, and I kissed the ground.
Always wanted to go. That's been a dream of mine. Yeah.
Dude, go. It's a dream. You'll get there. Go. And then we had a picnic out on the plain there, where we could see the pyramids, the three that are just outside in Cairo there. Right. And I'm looking at them, and I'm watching the light play on them, and the information is coming. Activations are coming, and it's just from so many other places about the relationships, the geometric relationships, what the 1, 2, 3 is all about when you look at them from further back.
Okay. Not just the star alignments, constellations.
Okay. Not just the star alignment, but it was so beautiful.
It's multi-dimensional, like even from looking at them on a flat plane. Like
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And then I got a little gift. We were having our lunch, and the camels were quiet, and our guide had given me his jalaba and his headscarf to wear, which was just amazing. A woman, he gave me all that stuff. And then a voice said to me, if you were to get up and just take a walk around and look around, you might find old bits from the temples. And I said, oh. And I got up, and I walked around. Yeah. And so I found some carved bits.
Carpets? What?
Carved bits.
Carved bits.
Okay. They're clearly carved bits.
Wow. Just laying out around.
Just laying there. I went right to them.
See, now this is like preserved in time stuff, like relics, very special, sacred things.
Very special.
Okay.
And I managed to very discreetly just bring them home.
Okay.
They're, they have a very special place in my heart and in my house.
I've heard of people getting like maybe pieces of rock from the pyramid, but I have never heard of like carved actual. Yeah.
These are carved. You can see that they've been worked by human hands.
Okay, and probably very symbolic to you as well.
One of them is of an eye.
Okay.
You can see the shape of an eye. And I just so many times have been tempted because we have a wonderful, the University of Pennsylvania has a wonderful affiliated museum, lots of archaeology. There's great stuff here from Sumerian, all kinds of stuff here. And I thought, gosh, go take these in. And then I think if you take these in, they're going to ask you how you got them.
Right.
I can't do it, right?
Yeah.
We
Need to
probably
know
should
somebody, get a connection.
Need to know somebody. I don't have a connection. But I was.
Maybe you will after this, when this gets
Well,
out.
I don't know. Maybe I should have not said it, but it was very special. It felt really so connected. And I would have to say, I have many home grids. So Egypt was a home grid. Scotland is a home grid.
Okay.
France is a home grid.
Did you?
Italy is a home grid too.
I want to ask you about France. Did you go to Montségur? What's the name of it?
I did not, but I have my memories of the Cathar, my time with the Cathar.
Okay. Like fully loaded here, man. You came in with the whole package, everything.
Yeah, I came in with quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it was not all just, what we consider far past. Some of it was rolled up closer and closer. And things were validated all the time. And that was the other part that helped me trust the beings I called the beloveds or the guardians. Okay. That's how I knew them.
And when did this start?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm in my teens.
How did it start, I guess?
Well, my first out-of-body experience, really. I was mopping my kitchen floor. I had a brand new baby. He was like 6 weeks old. I was 19 years old. I'm mopping my floor, and the next thing I know, I'm watching myself mop the floor from the ceiling. But there were presences with me.
Okay. Had you had this out of body before?
No, this was the first one like this.
Okay, like physical.
I had like crazy, fantastic stuff going on in dream time my whole life, right? But this was like, we're taking you to a new level.
Like getting your attention here. Yeah.
We're taking you to a new level.
Okay.
And so I'm saying, well, who are you? And what is this? And what's going on here? And they were very, very low key, very gentle. And they said, well, you could call us the beloveds. Sometimes we're called guardians, but not like guardian angels, they said. I thought that was interesting. And then they said, well, this lifetime you're going to learn the meaning of work, because I have had many lifetimes of privilege.
Okay.
Many. And it was like, okay, like already more floor mopping in my future, eh?
Good timing there too.
Right. It was like they seized the moment.
Well,
right.
She's already working, so let's
break it to her gently now, right?
Right.
Oh.
Good humor.
With humor, right? Always with humor. Always. The humor just knocks me out.
Absolutely.
How funny. It's amazing how funny.
High frequency.
It's really sweet. So things progressed, and I progressed. And then when I was 23, I developed a physical ailment, complication. Oh my goodness. So that took me through my first experience of self-healing, because I was diagnosed with secondary infertility, result of a pelvic inflammatory disease, and both of my fallopian tubes were completely occluded, and I was told I would have no more children.
Okay.
I was heartbroken. I love being a mom. And so, but it didn't end there, because the infection went systemic, and no one knew what was going on. I just knew I was really sick. So I almost died. And in one of those little transitional moments, I went out, and I was out there. Oh my God, I was just out there in the universe. and feeling, that everything really actually literally is composed of what we here call love. I mean, it's just what everything is made out of. And I'm hanging out there and I'm like, oh, how could I have forgotten this? Of course, blah, blah, blah. And then again, my friends came and they said, well, you have a decision to make. You can stay here if you like, or you can go back.
Left it up to you.
Left it up to me.
Sometimes you get a big note, like you got to go back. They
Right.
left
No,
it
they
up
left
to
it
you.
up to
That says a lot too. Yeah.
So I pondered, and my child was 3 years old at that time, and I took a moment to feel into his future without me, and then I said, I'm going back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going back. So I came back, and when I kind of got reoriented back into my body, I knew that I would connect with someone who would be able to help me with the physical problem. And shortly after that, I did connected with a local GP. Still, I was living in Vermont for the first time. I love Vermont. And I watched the light going over his head. He said, oh, I know what's the matter with you. He said, well, you've got actinomycosis. And I said, well, what do we do about that? He said, no. So I was on an antibiotic for a year. I mean, not exactly an antibiotic, amphotericin B or something. Anyway, it was really, oh, God, what a time that was. I was 23 years old. It was a pickle. It was a real pickle. And so during that time, I became even closer to the beloveds and to the guardian, because I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. I was so weak, right? So I began asking questions. I said, well, if I'm going to die, okay, I can accept that, but I kind of want to know what happened and why, and what did I do, and how did I contribute to this, and what's going on, and I just started asking a lot of questions, and they answered every single one of them. Then I regained my health, and I was gifted with some specific meditations to do. I was gifted with the tiny little me, and given instructions to take my tiny little me and put her on a sled at the top of each of my fallopian tubes and just have her sled down the tube, and then go over the other side and sled down the other tube, and to have fun.
Sounds like some KS techniques to me.
Well, what can I tell you, right? Okay.
Yeah, right. How did the guardians appear to you? What do they look like? What is this? I mean,
they have only on occasion, showed themselves to me in any other form than an orb.
okay. Different color orbs sometimes. Or...
Yeah, silver kind of bluish. They're beautiful.
Are you ever seeing like bipedal beings, or I don't know?
There were some beings when I was doing hands-on healing that would come into the environment of the bridge that we had built together, the frequency bridge, and they were like 8 or 9 feet tall.
Okay.
But they were just made of light.
Mm-hmm.
And they were helping with the whatever process was in hand. So they gave me this tiny me exercise, and they said, you need to do this 3 times a day for 5 minutes. And I was like, okay, sure. So I just kind of do. I do follow up. So, and then in dream time, I became aware that I was being operated on by blue beings, but they were hominids. They were people, but they were just made of blue light.
Blue, okay.
Pale blue.
Okay.
Kind of silvery pale blue. And I would wake up and I would have pain in my pelvis. And it took about a year, but at one time, after a lot of cramping, all, and I do mean all of the scar tissue fell out in one clump.
At one time.
At one time. Mm. Now, a normal person would see that and go, oh my God, get to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at it and I thought, oh, that's interesting. And I just flushed it away and I never thought about it again. Right? So that led to the birth of my second child. No complications. Everything was fine.
Mm.
Then the guardians came up again when my younger son became ill. This was karmic stuff we were working out.
Okay.
It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And just to get the information. And I got really clear information about how to be in relationship to what was happening in the situation. Got the past life information. Oh, it's beautiful. What to do, how to handle it. And he was eventually diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. He was 1.5 years. And I got guidance that it was really that if I took him off of all milk products, that what he had was an allergy to milk that was
Mm-hmm.
expressing that way, and all would be well. So I did that. Now at that time, the man I was married to then was in medical school. He was pre-med. I didn't tell him any of this. None of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then I said, well, here's what we're going to do. And I had a friend who was the head of pediatrics at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and I called him and I said, hey, Tom, this is what's going on with our son, and I got this information. Can you validate for me if I were to take my baby off of every milk product, cow's milk, any kind of animal milk product for 2 weeks? Is that going to hurt him? And he said, no, he'll be fine. And so we had that conversation. So then I got validation, and we did that, and the symptoms went away. Then we went for one more visit to the rheumatologist, and what had happened was it was like, this is the 6th law of cure in Chinese medicine. This is what they're telling me. The skin is an organ of elimination. 6th law of cure. Leave it alone. So I said, okay. Took the baby to the doctor, and the doctor, I said, what is that? He said, oh, it's just some, what did he call it? Not psoriasis, something else, that eczema, whatever, some little, but it was right over the patch that had been the most painful for my son. Walking. He said, okay, look, I'm going to give you a prescription for that, for cortisone cream, and, just put it on and it'll be fine. We get home, I get the prescription, and I'm sitting with the baby on my lap, cream in my hand, and the information comes in. Throw it away. If you put that on his skin, we'll be sending the message for this to go back into the body when he's bringing it out for resolution.
It's like a clearing. So the skin being an organ of elimination, things arise to the surface to clear through the skin naturally, organically.
Yeah, leave it alone.
I've always thought rashes and things were like that too. I've always kind of felt that. Like it's just coming up to surface, needs to clear from the inside out,
Yeah. Right?
Mm-hmm. I had no idea that was part of Chinese medicine too. It makes total sense.
There's a 6th law of cure. Now you know.
Total
so that
sense.
was my Chinese DNA coming in and helping me out.
Okay. All this memory.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So I said, okay, well, threw the cortisone cream in the trash.
Mm-hmm.
And what was suggested was cornstarch instead. Treated it just lightly, not even bother. And then when that went away, he was completely well, and he's been well ever since.
Mm-hmm.
That was taking me from a healing dynamic with my own body to participating in a healing dynamic with someone else's body.
Right.
And then that began to become a kind of a clearer trajectory. And then I had the first episode of bilocation. I was like 24. And I didn't know what bilocating was. I wasn't reading any books or anything, or just stuff Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
I had this sensation, a kind of a shift in consciousness that was very intense. It wasn't uncomfortable, but I really felt like I needed to just kind of lay down. And I did. And then my consciousness shifted to another location. I didn't astral travel. So I was aware of my body on the bed, but I focused my attention elsewhere. And then I was at the scene of a car accident, head on. And I was at a car with a woman and her two daughters in the back of the car. And I was standing by her and I was saying, "You're going to be fine. You and your daughters are both, everybody's going to be fine. Help is on the way. I'll stay here with you till help comes." And then, there was eventually a pullback. And then I was back in my time space where my body was. And I thought, wow, that was really, and I was looking around while I was waiting with these people. And I'm looking, I think, gosh, this looks like New York State. This looks like upstate New York. I wonder where we are, right? And then like 2 or 3 days later, there's a knock at my door, and it was the third floor neighbor, Bill. And I hadn't heard him around for a couple of days. And I said, "Hey, Bill, where you been? What's going on?" He said, "Oh, I was in upstate New York. I went to I was like, oh, your sister and her daughters, are they okay?" And he's looking at me. I said, "Well, they had a car accident, right?" And he says, "Yes." "How could you know that?" I said, "Well, I was there, Bill." That was the connection, right? There was a little bit of an emotional connection, right? He's my neighbor.
Right.
So now I'm like, what is this? What is this thing here? What is this? And it was like they kept taking me along, up-leveling, gradual, gentle, up-leveling, giving me time to adjust and integrate and synthesize, up-leveling.
Like a real training here.
Absolute training.
Yeah.
So it went like that, on like that. And then the out-of-body experiences became more frequent. And
this
I was
like in your 30s.
30s.
Yeah.
I'm tooling around and here and there. And then I would go and astral travel, and I'd go to somebody's house that I knew when they were sound asleep in their body. They weren't there. So this went on for a while, and I just knew I could have these conversations with these beings. They had made it very clear they were available to me at any time. I said, hey, this is not cool. I'm not down with this. This is it's sensationalism. It feels like a little bit like titillation. I'm not really interested in this if there isn't a really, really good point to this activity. I had no problem getting in. I had no problem getting out. You know what I'm saying? This is a skill. So I was curious. I'm always curious. That's how they've got me. They know I'm curious. Doggone it.
That's memory too. Something built in to be curious, right? About those subjects and things. Yeah.
I'm curious. Well, So I was curious about this out of body. What is this anyway? What is this? So at that time, I had a court reporting business. I was a very successful freelance court reporter.
Court reporter?
Court reporter, all about sitting in court all day, getting it down, listening, getting it down, and getting it right.
So are you at the typewriter?
The stenotype machine.
Okay.
And then I did daily copy. So then it was sent courtroom in the day, and then I go home and feed the kids, take care of the homework, blah, 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 then go back to my office, stay up all night, and produce the transcript.
Okay. You're the actual person in the court hearings typing, just looking straight ahead, just going.
Yeah, this is what I did to support
documenting.
I supported our family when my now ex-husband was in medical school.
Interesting. I've always thought there's something with those people that do that. Yeah.
Oh, it was fabulous. And I had an ability to split my consciousness. So with a lot of court reporters, they're just taking it down, but they can't be thinking about what they're hearing.
Almost in a trance. You can see them while they're doing it.
Yeah, I wasn't in a trance.
Yeah. I mean, but they're looking straight ahead while the other part of their body's like just going full speed. It's like
a lot of them do go they do go into trance, right? Because
Okay.
it's hard.
Yeah.
But I had this other thing going on. So I'd be doing it, taking it down, and I did a lot of medical malpractice, so I learned a tremendous amount.
Oh.
And I did expert testimony, biochemists, people, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. Learned a tremendous amount. And because my ex-husband was in medical school, I would go in, and I was just sort of starting my practice. I would go in and I would sit and I would take down his lectures and transcribe them.
Like going to school for free here, getting
Absolutely.
educated. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I did that for 5 years, and I cannot tell you all the levels of learning that went on, most important of which was listening. Just really listening. And so I developed relationships with my clients and judges, and I would hear something, and I would mark the tape on my machine. And then when I would transcribe, I would make a note, and I would put a sticky thing on it for the copy for the judge or the ALJ or my lawyer client. I would say, you might want to review this part of the transcript.
Right.
Very
Right.
That really helped me build the business.
Mm-hmm. The subtleties are the loudest sometimes, so the most telling.
Good service for them. They appreciated it.
I bet.
And so I was doing that, and then one day I went to lunch during a deposition, and I was visiting a bookstore, and quite literally, the book by Robert Monroe, Journeys Out of the Body, literally fell off the shelf and hit me on the head.
Mm-hmm.
I really did. It just boom. I'm like, what the heck? I pick up this book, Journeys Out of the Body. I said, oh, well then, okay, I'll buy it, right? So I take it home. I devoured it. And then I thought, I gotta go. I'm going. So I contacted them and arranged to go to one of their retreats, Gateway Retreat, their initial retreat. And my husband said, what are you going to do? I said, I need a week. You stay here with the kids. You'll work it out. I need a break. I'm going. So I went down to the Institute. I just wanted to know if there was a good purpose for me to have the skill. And if there was a good purpose to have the skill, then I would use it for that purpose, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. All I expected was maybe I might have an out-of-body experience while I was there. Maybe I learned some more about it, blah, blah, blah. Cool people, beautiful setting. Sound technology, wonderful. Well, I guess it was like 3 days into it. I'm in my little meditation space. I'm listening to the sound, and all of a sudden I see this little silver light at the base of my spine. I'm looking down inside of myself from the middle, what we would call now the central channel, right? And I see this little ball of silver light. And the minute I put my attention on it, it rushed up the center of me and exploded in my pineal gland. It just blew everything open. Everything along the way. Boom, right? A pop, an audible pop, brilliant white light. And now I'm in a space, and my friends are there, and it was like we were in sound surround theater. And they started showing me life after life after life after life after Japan and the Buddhist and Tibet and the life and all the good and the bad and the ugly, life after. And this went on for a while. We're in no time, but I didn't really understand that till later. And I was like, hey, what's the point? Cut to the chase. What's the point? So I was like, well, this is another up level for you, and you need to have this information. So, okay.
Always needing the context of the events and always asking the question. Yeah.
Absolutely. my favorite question is, what's really going on here? This is an excellent question.
What's the purpose here? The
Yes.
encryption. That's reading encryption.
Yeah.
That's the words, you know, we're blending. That's what I wanted to preface this whole thing with, is that you've been doing the same stuff all of us been doing in this chaos group. There's just different names. There's going to be different words. You said Gaia. There's all these different terminology, but I feel it, you know, your family, I feel it. So
It's so funny to me, right? I'm like, it's really interesting to me that it has unfolded this way.
Yeah.
It really is. It's fascinating.
Almost come full circle or something, you know?
Yeah, right? So I come out of this experience and I go to sit with the group. The other people are there, and I have energy pouring out of me, gushing. Pipe, 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 hands, pop, gushing. And I'm like, what is this? So I'm sitting down with the people in my group, and it got to be my turn to share. I said, okay, can somebody tell me what these pipes are? I have pipes. This is what happened while I was in an explosion in the center of my head. Now I have pipes. What? I had no idea, right? I had no idea about an awakening, or I had zero. My body consciousness was like, okay, what is this? So
Pipes.
there were pipes. There were the chakras.
Okay.
I had no idea. I had no idea about chakras.
Pipes, like going which direct? What?
Woo, pipes, like a pipe.
Okay.
Like energy flowing, pipe coming woo
out of your body, just the front.
Yeah, out of my body.
Okay.
Which was validated instantly, because there was a woman who's sitting in the circle. She said, "Oh my God, I've got such a headache," and my hands were like, "Let me." I'm like, "Stop it! You don't touch people you don't know."
Yeah.
Woo! No, stop it. Finally, I asked her. I said, "Would you be okay if I just put my hands on your head?" And she said, "Oh, sure." And she said, like a minute, she said, "Oh my God, my headache's gone." I was like, "Okay, that's context. Thank you. All right, okay." Yeah. So one more thing happened and it was like, after that experience, it was like, oh my God, I have to go home and get divorced. Oh, I mean, it wasn't like I didn't know that was coming.
New alignment stuff, like.
It's just, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, geez, right? Could not question. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. So now, when I went there, I was this person who had this birth name that had been given to me that I always knew was the wrong name for me. My childhood, I said, why don't you call me Tracy? Or why don't you call me this? Because this name you've given me, this is not my name.
What was your name?
I'll tell you in a minute. My name is Anaiis.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not going to tell you my birth name.
Okay. Okay.
So, then we did another follow-up meditation, and so we're a group meditation and journeying, and I am taken again. They said, okay, here's what you need to know. You are a galactic healer from an area called the Pleiades, and you are here at this time, and you're going to be doing work, and we'll be with you to help you do this work, and you're a galactic healer. Off the floor.
This is Guardians telling you.
Yes.
The beloved. Okay.
Yes. Okay. And I got up off the floor and I said, that's it. I'm going home.
I mean, this is like, because we were talking about harmonic convergence earlier before the talk. This is like in the 80s?
1989. March of 1989.
Okay. Yeah.
That was a bridge too far. It really was. It was too soon after the pop and the pipes. I was just like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I'm done. So I got up and I said, this is BS. I'm going to not use the expletive. This is ridiculous. I'm so-and-so. I am a court reporter. I live in upstate New York. I have 2 kids. I'm married to a guy in medical school. I'm driving a Mercedes-Benz. I'm making $200,000 a year. I'm going home.
Okay, this is like walk-in or something, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Right. Conscious walk-in, like just aware.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
So there were some people there, interestingly enough, who were like, look, just calm down. You're here. You might as well finish out the week. If it's BS, it's BS. You got nothing to worry about. I couldn't really argue with that. So I was like, okay, all right. Meanwhile, they're telling me things that they know, and you should read this book, or you should read this book. I'm like, okay, I'll go home, I'll get those books. So now I leave this place, and it had taken me 7 hours to drive from where we lived in New York to Virginia, to Charlotte, Virginia, where this place was, Faber, Virginia. 7 hours. And I was driving my little Benz, and I had my, cruise control and set the speed and everything, because I didn't want to get nailed for any tickets or anything. And on the way back, man, my field was so expanded that I would drive by like high tension wires, and it would slice through my field. I could feel it. I was like, whoa, that's awful. And I was just disoriented. And then I thought, wait, I got to stop at a rest stop, because I don't recognize anything. I'm good at that. Like, I have like reverse engineering GPS kind of stuff. And I was like, So I go into the rest stop and I say, listen, I'm going to be on this road. They go, you're fine. You're exactly right. I'm like, this feels so unfamiliar. I don't recognize any of this. I got home in 3 hours. 7-hour journey.
Oh.
Took 3 hours. I was expecting to get home at 7 o'clock, and it was 4 o'clock when I got home. I said, how is this possible? So I was out of the space-time agreement completely. For, who knows, whatever.
I think that's appropriate for this platform. The Elaisans work outside of time also.
Yeah, right. Okay. I'm going to have to learn more about this. I'm trying to keep up with you, Chris, and read. It's just like, what is this now? What is this?
I can't keep up with it myself, so you're not going to keep up.
No, obviously not. But I'm trying.
None of us, we're trying.
Try. So I get home. It was just done. It was done. The walk-in process happened. It was very gentle. My kids were like, Mommy, you got lights around you. What are those lights? I'm like, we're all good. Everybody's fine. It's good. We're okay. And things unfolded. And then, I had to end that marriage. And I mean, it was just so intense. It was intense.
Let it drag out a while. Yeah.
And I remember the merge day. I remember that because part of me wasn't going to come in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
everything had been prepared.
Yeah.
The training had happened. But it was like, because I was like at least 90s Pleiades in this crystalline environment, having a really good time being a teacher there.
Okay.
Some part of me. I was like, don't go into the last minute. So I was like, shh.
Yeah.
But what I experienced was that suddenly there was just more of me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was curious about that. I was like, oh, So that's how it unfolded. And then, so that was like in the spring of 1989, and my husband graduated from medical school, and we went on a journey to Europe. And all through Europe, I'm having past life memory everywhere. France, Italy, I mean, just everywhere. Everywhere. It was amazing.
Working with the grids, do you think, like the records,
Absolutely.
history?
Oh, you bet. It was beautiful, but I didn't know what was going on really then. And it was part of the alignment and again, activating and working with the grids and clearing away. That was the last. I took my ex-husband. He graduated from medical school, so I took us all to Europe for like 10 days for like a gift to him. And I just like, we got into one part of France, and we had rented a car. We had flown into Holland and driven down through. It was an amazing trip. And we're in this. I wanted to visit the south of France and Antibes, and so we're driving around in Antibes. We find a part. We're going to Picasso's studio, and we park the car, and I start to run. He says, "Where are you going?" I said, "I know the way." Oh, I'm just like, I've never been to Antibes before. I exactly knew exactly where I was going, exactly how to get there. Right? A lot of that was going on. And so then at the end of that trip, I was like, okay, this is the last hurrah. This is my goodbye gift, because we're done. Now, the whole time, 6 weeks following the awakening, for 6 weeks straight, I would breathe and it was orgasm. Just flow. Just, yeah, I mean, really. And I'm trying to work. Oh my God.
It's bliss, like bliss consciousnness.
Bliss.
Just smile,
Bliss.
perma-smile.
Bliss. Wave after wave after wave. Wee! I'm just like, how am I supposed to work like this? And I would try to read a transcript, and the letters would just come floating up off the page. And I'm like, oh my God.
I feel it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Really? But that was the beginning. So that was in 1989. And then in 1991, I was working in a hospital, 2 hospitals in Russia, working with burn patients and cancer patients. Doing, what I was working with a divine template. And I could reactivate stem cells, and
you still have this ability. You just do.
Apparently. But so then I taught, and I came back, and after that trip, that was a lot of validation. It's wonderful. Got video. I have a documentary about that. I don't know if it'll ever get put together, but I have all the footage. And then it was like, okay, so I started teaching. I had my school, living lessons, right? And that was really wonderful, because I got to interact with a lot of people, and it was always teach, validate, teach, validate, teach. And it's a lot of the same stuff, right? I call the membrane of consciousness around the densities, I called that the barrier. And I called the part that in Keylontic science is known as the shadow dancer.
Yeah.
I called that the killer. And that when we were doing our transformational work, we had to engage the killer, and we had to engage the barrier material. And we had to engage the energetic, emotional, and psychological dynamics, or we weren't really going to be free, right? But I had different language for it. So yeah, so that was, and I was all around the world teaching workshops, retreats, Greece, Germany, France, England.
This is still 89, right?
Oh, this went on. This went on and on.
90s.
Israel. This went on into 1998.
Okay.
1999, I had been given the idea to do a retreat called Meeting the Beloved. Creativity and Sacred Sensuality. 1999.
So you're doing retreats here, so it's just becoming like a business? How many people are participating in this? I mean, how are you gathering?
I was in national expos talking and doing workshops, and sometimes 100 people would show up. And
okay, up to 100 even.
Yeah, it was small groups.
Okay.
I didn't want to do the big dog and pony show. Like
a speaker type thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, demos, live demos. Yeah, I'm an introvert.
Most speakers are, it seems like.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not a speaker. What are you saying? Stop it.
No, we won't use the word speaker.
No,
So.
please don't. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Mm-mm. Yeah, so that went on and it was so amazing. And then I had met another man and we were exploring partnership. And then I had gone off to Greece to teach for a month to teach, do a course on a Grecian isle, which was wonderful. And then he was supposed to pick me up at the airport. We were going to do the Meeting the Beloved retreat together. I had booked the space in Hawaii. He was game. We were going to do it, invite other couples and just do this creativity. Like, wait, I didn't have co-creation yet. Couples, but I was going to do it, right? It's like, I'm going for it. I get what this is. We're going for it.
She was talking about twins and stuff back then too. I was just listening to a workshop. The dates, the timeline here. That's why I'm really trying to go back to the timeline, because there's stuff you got to see and like do the parallels here. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even have all the information yet, and I stay up till 3:00 in the morning. I'm watching this stuff. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, because it's
absolutely. I'm not going to stop. That's my mission here.
Oh, whoa. So here we are. I'm poised to do the next up level with a very wonderful man. And I came back from Greece, and he didn't meet me at the airport, and he hadn't been feeling well quite before I left, and got home, and he was dead within 10 days, and I didn't get to see him again because I was on the West Coast and he had flown back to the East Coast while I was in Greece to visit his family, and they were putting him on the plane to come back to California, and he was in excruciating pain, but I dreamt it when he didn't meet me at the airport that night. I just went in and I said, okay, what's really going on here? And so in dream time, we were together, and he had been operated on for cancer. He was full of it. Nothing they could do, closed him up. And he and I were just lying in each other's arms while his life force ebbed away. And I woke up the next day and I went, oh no. Now this is before cell phones, and got crazy, and I didn't get to see him again. Alive. And so that was another big alignment. Oh my God.
Was this right before the retreat?
We were going to do the retreat in February of 97.
Okay.
And he died in November of 96.
Okay.
So I canceled the retreat. I was a mess. My heart chakra just shattered, blown open. That was his gift to me. It was a beautiful gift.
But there was ongoing communication, if you're able to still communicate, like with people that have passed on.
We didn't do that.
He left. He just left the earth plane. He was gone. He just left you with that lesson. Okay.
Here we go.
Okay.
And I didn't hang on to him. It's like, okay. To the point where family of his, whom I hadn't met yet, because we were a new relationship, flew back to California, and I meet his brother in the parking lot. He said, listen, I want her to lead my celebration on the beach in Carlsbad. I want her to do it. And I'm in the parking lot, and the next time I see this man is in a black plastic box. And we're scattered, and I'm like, oh my. Oh. So he was ready to go. He went. But that was a tremendous catalytic moment for me that set off 20 years of personal work. I stopped teaching.
Okay.
And then that's the rest of it was just life, right?
Yeah.
And then in
20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. Personal work every day.
So like 2007, 2008.
1997.
Okay.
Maybe more. 1997, from the time he died, end of 96 until.
But you said 20 years. You didn't start again until 20 years later? Or?
Yeah, what happened was, what year was it I started beekeeping? What brought me back was becoming a beekeeper.
Okay.
And that was in 2011.
2011. Okay.
Long time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's not 20 years. Felt like an eternity.
Yeah.
But I haven't been with anybody since. So it's 22 years this year.
Mm.
Anyway, beekeeping brought me back. And that was Gaia. I didn't really have a relationship with Gaia. I was clear with Source, right? Direct connection. But I didn't really have that kind of relationship with Gaia. And that is who I know. I know Gaia. I need to be very clear about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I appreciate Earth and the nature here on Earth, but who I am in relationship with is the being named Gaia.
So is Gaia, is this like another density of Earth or the spirit of Earth? What would your definition of
I
Gaia?
would say it's both. I feel like that is one of her expressions of herself.
A future Earth or
I'm living on her now. I mean,
okay.
energetically.
Okay.
She invited me to come and live in that frequency zone with her in 2012.
Okay.
During Hurricane Sandy, I'm in meditation for 7 hours, and she's like, "Would you want to come live on Earth 2.0?" I said, I do. Yep.
Earth 2.0.
Yeah. I said, "Yes, please." And so then there was a tremendous amount of work.
What is the distinction between Earth and Earth 2.0 for you? What is distinguishable? The characteristics.
Well,
experience.
what this being that I know as Gaia told me that was a decision had been made, and that she was going to free herself from a part of her which could not be reconciled or something like that.
Okay.
And so she was going to divide.
Okay.
And the part of her that could not be reconciled would be going on its own path. And that where it would be going would not be really good.
I mean, this is in complete alignment with what's being taught right now, pretty much. They call it shift and sift right now. That things are shifting up, you're going with it, or it's shifting off. And I always get the image of the dog, like the wet dog shaking, like shaking it off,
Yeah. Well, I got the memo in 2012 that she was going to split.
Okay. Like on the day, the Mayan thing, the December 21st thing, or just in the year 2012, throughout
October,
the year?
During Hurricane Sandy.
Okay. October.
Yeah, October of 2012. And I was like tracking the Mayan stuff, and I was like, I think they have this wrong. I don't think this is going to end up the way they think it's going to end up.
Yeah, a lot of this still.
Okay. But there's a lot of things that changed. Okay.
Yeah.
And people were working like crazy, right?
Yeah.
And me, like the last minute walk-in, I'm doing what I'm doing. It's like, call me when you really need me. Do not call me before you really need me. Do not, right? So there was still so much DNA activation and clearing, and it was painful, Chris. I had almost a year where I couldn't walk without excruciating pain. Attacked, relentless. Well, I've been teaching night school for since 1989. I started teaching night school, right? So I would meet with people in dream time and I would be teaching them stuff, right? So I was going 24/7.
Like a spiritual night school type thing.
Yeah. 24/7 for years, Chris.
What are you're teaching what you know, like your records?
There are spaces where people gather to learn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so I would go there and teach. Okay. And when I wasn't teaching, I was fighting.
What are you fighting? What was it?
There was a time, this is the information that I got, where the fourth density astral plane had to be completely cleaned out of all the false light creation. That's what I called it.
Okay. We call that Shona light and Shalaya light.
Yeah. That entire space had to be stripped and picked clean.
This was 2012, around that?
I began that work in 20, yeah.
It's kind of ongoing, though, I guess.
Yeah, it stopped
before.
for me finally. It stopped in 2017.
Okay.
But it
Recent.
was, oh my God. Attack, 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 attack. Boom, boom. Wait a minute. Then, okay, like, okay, I'm not a warrior tonight. I'm a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Great. I'm a teacher. I'm a warrior.
And you're teaching about Gaia. What are you teaching?
I was teaching all kinds of things about spirituality. I would say I was teaching about the Christos path. And I was healing people. And there were people who remember me from their dream time, let's say, who I never met. They're probably probable selves, I don't know, who had cancer. And I came to them in dream time and guided them through that journey. And they remembered me. The first time they saw me on YouTube, they were like, oh my God, she's a real person. Mm. And they contacted me, right? That kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Don't ask me to explain it. I can't explain it. Yeah. I mean, like, part of me doesn't care. Like, I don't need the explanation. Yeah. I'm just living it. Oh, this is a large part of why I'm not a speaker. It's like, I'm just going to live it. I have the activations now, I call them. I've been like, this stuff is just coming out of me. And my job is to live it and share it. I don't have to explain it. But lately they've been saying, you know what, you're going to have to explain something. I was like, oh God. Anyway, yeah, so that was amazing. Very painful time. Finally stopped in 2016. Oh, I mean, I hadn't minded the teaching, but the astral fourth dimensional clear out.
Do you feel that this was part of your own template clearing, your own Maya's and karmas?
Of course.
Karmic grids.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're so connected to all these different grids and overwhelmed. Yeah.
Yeah. Whoa. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. I know everybody was, especially like when I listened to Christina Ray Martinez. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh my God, right? Mm-hmm. Intense. Yeah. I mean, it was a mess. It was a mess. Yeah. So that went on. And then 2016 is like literally Christmas night, 2015. I woke up the next morning, was like, ta-da! Okay, woo! All right, what are we doing now? Okay, right.
What
and that
year?
Was
what year?
2016.
2016. Okay.
So then in 2016, I got the information that the mess that was supposed to happen in 2012, that the timing was off by 5 years.
Oh. Sounds about right. There was a lot going on that year.
And then I got information that there were negotiations for contracts there had been reneged contracts. And then in 2017, I actually went to visit in the space of the thing called Anu. There was a being.
Anu.
Anu. Mm-hmm. And I went and I was like, dude, you're done. Your time is up. I am here to make sure that you know. There were a lot of us who were like, you're finished. It's done. It's over. No more extensions. No more playing around. No, you're done. You're done.
A lot of different aspects of Anu too. There's a lot of, like the facets thing. There's a lot of,
I was like, why am I here?
Yeah.
I was like, I recognize this. Like, oh God, why am I here? But a lot of things had happened. So in 2016, I was getting this information that I was part of something called a monad.
Okay.
I didn't know what that was.
It's another KS term. Workshop on the monad, actually, like a whole workshop.
Yeah, so I've been looking at that. Like, what is that, right? Then I was like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. But that in the monad, I had certain authority. I had some authority there from that, whatever that was about. And I was taught how to use it.
Real strong connection there of yourself, like your template.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that capacity, when things would happen in the astral, or when in the 3D something would be coming at me from behind or from the side, I don't know, maybe it was a fatality. I don't know what that. I was like, you know what? Your ass is mine. You're toast.
And you had the quantum to do it, like to carry
Yes.
through. Yeah. Okay. Like with ease, it sounds like relative
Yes.
ease. Yeah.
And I said, I'm count to three, and you have a choice, and you got to count to three to make it, and whatever I will smote you.
Allow the choice. Allow them the choice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you want to do?
Okay.
I can take you to source. If you want to go to source now, I will take you.
Yeah. Well, this
But
is
if
a lot. This is a lot. What she's some of the most powerful activations. That's how the approach has been with the guardians, is to always give the choice. Always, like, you don't just go and attack them. You just hold the space, hold the ground. Say, if you come another step further, this is the energy you're entering into now.
That's correct.
You know? Yeah.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So
It's very distinguishable, you know, compared to a lot of other techniques out there, I guess.
Yes, and
Let's
there
take
was
them on.
only,
Let's go get them. You know, like
no, it was never Yahoo, kill,
Yeah.
make war. It was never that, ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
It's like slow
But-
it down.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like slow your roll,
Yeah.
or there are consequences.
Yeah.
And I am here
You're
to deliver.
stepping into karmic consequences there. Yeah.
So that was interesting. And then during that same time, I was gifted with the Sacred Master Key, which is a technique. It's a beautiful technique. And what am I doing? I'm making orbs with specific intent and purposes. And I'm teaching people how to work with the gardens to make orbs and to work with the elementals and have a relationship with the elementals with these orbs. Right? It was fabulous. So beautiful.
2017?
2016, that was.
2016 still.
Yeah. So then I did my first workshop on Sacred Master Key in 2016. And then we did the retreat in Scotland, Sacred Master Key, in 2017. And, you know, these things for me is just like, we want you to remember the technique. And we want you to have the validation that the technique, these things actually do stuff.
Were these written down? Was there manuals, handouts, anything?
Oh, I wrote it down. I journaled it. And then when I was explaining it to people, like I had video and stuff, but
okay. But this wasn't a business. You're just doing this on your free time.
It was a bit. I mean, it's how I paid rent.
Right.
Right? Oh my God. Anyway, and I've been going, you know, winging a prayer for what, a long time now. Winging a prayer. Now I do have a business, because when I was teaching back in the early 90s in my classes, I used to joke. And I would say to my class, oh God, if only I could bottle this. I have. I have.
That is necessary. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So now it's bottled, and now it's in information that other people can use, and it is a business, right? So what we just did. So all 2017, it was bringing through frequencies. This, bing, bing, bing. Sometimes it's bringing through 4 separate, discrete frequencies with particular applications a day. And then writing down, what is it? What does it do? Okay, fine. All right.
How do you get this information? Is it data stream? Does it come in checkerboard type thing?
No, direct. It's direct.
It's direct? Okay.
I don't channel. Never have.
Yeah. Right.
Always thought that was a really bad idea.
Yeah.
So it's direct.
And when you're writing it down, it comes in one chunk, just clean, pure, just in a fluid timeline. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, so here I am now with all this new information, and gifted with this another up level. Because all this DNA activation's been going. I mean, I've been just like unfolding code like crazy, activating strands. I have no idea. I think I'm probably at least 24 strand capable, maybe more.
Are you able to write down codes also? Do you have codes, geometric codes at all?
I did that years ago, and I was just like, nope, not doing that. And then I did it. I was painting. I was still a painter. And I had something that looks very much like light language is how I signed my name.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was very interesting. I have spoken light language. I have done healings with people where I have needed to speak light language to get them through whatever their process was. But I don't make a habit of it. I decided it wasn't necessarily a really good thing to get into.
Maybe too intricate, the design or something.
It's too, you can get so distracted
Okay.
by that. Where my strength is, I feel, is in direct experience of energy and being able to take that energy and then translate it as frequency and then translate it again as information and then translate it again as language and translate it again as physical interaction. That's, I don't know, maybe you call that step down? I don't know what you call that.
Yeah. Maybe working with other parts of your higher self or something to get to the incarnate here and all these different, yeah.
And then as part of doing the essences work, I reverse engineered technology from Atlantis. Also technology from Egypt. Used that reverse engineering. Reverse engineered that stuff and remembered. And then I also remembered how to create all of my essences frequencies are they're safe in a domain, an energetic domain, in a that can't be got at.
Like a lone harmonic type thing.
Yeah. No, nobody can duplicate them, or it's not going to happen.
Okay.
And then this thing came along. It's like, well, there's a problem. I said, what's the problem? There's this thing called the immortal cancer cell that came out of a woman named Henrietta Lacks in 1952. And these cancer cells, there's never been another finding of a human being with immortal cells. And so the information that I got was that with the gene splicing that has happened, with the mess, why we're struggling with bioregenesis, it's a mess, right?
This type of science that's on the planet right now.
Yeah. So that these immortal cancer cells have been completely, there are trillions of them now that have been let loose into the 3D matrix, not where I live, but into the 3D matrix, in vaccines, polio, and medications, right? So they gave me the list, and I was like, okay, so what we want you to do now is we're gonna give you a protocol, and the protocol is to clear the energetic template of this immortal cancer cell. I was like, okay. So the first thing that I had to do, and I went down into, well, I didn't know where I was. I found out I was in inner earth.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to hanging out with Gaia. And then one day, like I had done a bilocation thing in October that had to do with national politics. I did a quick stealth operation. And then after that, I went down to do my usual hangout thing where I do with Gaia at night before I go to sleep in this kind of beautiful silver environment. And it's just really so beautiful and restful and rejuvenating. And I get there, and off to the side of one of the room where I go in, my little private space, I was like, who are these other people? And somebody came and got me and said, oh, please come. And I went and sit in this big room full of beings. And I just sit down and I just get real quiet and I'm looking and I'm listening. And then in a little moment I said, excuse me, where are we? And someone leaned over and said, this is inner earth. Well, okay then,
This is the first time you've ever...
Well, I've been going where I've been going.
Yeah.
And I was just happy to be doing my solo thing.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly there's this whole other space, and I'm like, well, this is what, hi, I'm just going to sit quietly down and, just blend, right? Just blend. And I was like, this is inner earth? oh, okay. So in that environment, with Gaia, she explained to me that Toth, we're talking timelines, like ancient, frickin' ancient.
Samaria, before Egypt,
Before,
before
before,
other
before.
seedings, maybe, other humans.
Right.
Okay.
When Toth made the choice to instrument his agenda, to think he was going to supersede Source, and then he was going to wipe out the human, the soul spark, the Source spark human, that far back.
Okay.
He and Toth and his buddies created, I'll call it a jinn. And through this jinn, they engineered a timeline. And that timeline produced the human being, Henrietta Lacks, and it produced the mutations that developed into her immortal cancer cells. Yeah. So when I said, Guy, what do you want me to do? She's like, take the gin. You can take the gin. It's already agreed. And you take the gin to Source. And let Source handle it. I'm like, okay. And she said, and you come back here. I was like, okay. And I get back, and there's this beautiful, mute, black as black can be, beautiful, feminine being there with Gaia, the energy of Gaia, the spirit of Gaia. And she said, okay, now we have to work on healing this poor, tortured being who was forced to be the incubation vehicle for this mutation. Ugh. Okay, we can do that. And she was like, okay, now you're going to take this information and we're going to generate a protocol. And we're going to go back, going to give you the information, going to use the essences that you've brought through. This has been the process. We've been building up to this. And you're going to share this. And it is going to go after the very first mutation that happens in a human cell at conception.
This is getting very specific, too.
It's very specific. Yeah. I was like, okay, if you tell me how to do it and what to do, I will do it. I will. So that's the workshop that we just went through, where we went in, we did what was called the golden flow genetic restoration, because the other piece of information I got that was because of the genetic mutations along the different seedings and the Anunnaki stuff, that the organic frequency of gold, not white powder gold, but the organic frequency of gold had been stripped out of the human biofield, so that only certain ones have gold in their fields. And it's complicated, but anyway, it got very specific. So we just did the protocol. I beta tested it on myself first. Always get to be the guinea pig. And then I just did that with a group of people. So we now have this protocol that we are ready to share. Okay. And then the encrypted images came, then I'd never went there, but I'm an artist. I have art. I can make art. And it was like, I could go to the store, get the book, get the gold pens, get the silver pens. Like, what am I doing with this? Like, don't worry about it. Just go get it. I'm like, okay. Get the stuff. I come home, and then it's like, here, direct download. Here's what you need to draw. Here's what it is. Then it's this, then it's this, then it's this, then it's this, then it's this. Boom, 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 boom.
So this is like art mixed with the technique of it. Yes.
Absolutely. I have a video that I've given to my facilitators, because we're going to do clinics. Okay. We're organizing to do clinics with this.
And you can see this working. You've seen the afterwards, the effect of it and the auras and everything. Okay.
Yeah, and then I was introduced to the deity plane thing. I was at my first retreat that I had done in October, where I was incorporating some of the guardian information using some of the basic stuff that Ashiana and Azan brought through. And sort of like on the down low, I was like, oh God, people really need this information, so I'm gonna just give it to them. And then I'm laying in bed in the venue, and I look up at the ceiling, and it was the butterfly, the sacred, that pattern.
The Yan Yun.
Yeah, stunning, right above me. I'm looking at this, going, who are you? You know, are you taking me now? Is this it? Am I going?
And the guardians are right there that have been talking to you this whole time, or like showing you, guiding you through this.
Yes, like, it's okay, just relax. Just relax. We need you to see this. Like, okay. Well, that featured in our last and the beta workshop that we did, because I helped people open up into those flows in themselves.
We're actually doing that tonight. We're doing Sliders 11, the Yan Yun. So there you go.
So
Crazy.
all of a sudden these movements start coming through, and I'm showing people, like, you got to have this axis and that. It was amazing. And then to sort of trigger them, I showed them a Native American sacred hoop dance, because the hoop dance, they're dancing creation. They know exactly what's going on.
Right.
And so it's like, watch this. I gave them the blow-by-blow narration. This is this. This is that. Which, it just comes out, right? It was so fun, Chris. And then to take the essences and then encrypt them on the images that I made, and then reproduce the images, and then sit with people and have them put their hands on the images and have them go right into the energy.
So there might be a copyright thing with this. I don't know.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
No.
But
I mean,
hey,
this is getting into like how you found. I'm just joking. How you
I
found?
know, really, right?
Yeah. I wish it was just. Yeah. We kind of skipped over some of the, like how you came into KS. You're integrating some of the stuff already. So where did this come
to?
to?
Crop circle.
Crop circle. Okay.
I told you they just was like, look at this, and I'm doing it on YouTube. I'm like, why am I looking at this? You know what, Chris? I need to take a bathroom break.
Okay, no, that's fine.
And I'll come back and I'll tell you about.
Yeah, then that's a whole nother chapter we're going into. All right.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay.
This is intense.
Wow.
I'm telling you. Oh my God. Oh, I want to show you something. Maybe I'll just send you a picture.
Okay. I mean, I'll be doing the slides later too. So, yep, everything's on.
Okay, well, I just want to backtrack a minute, because you're like, how did I learn? In 2012, I invented a board game. It's called the Bee Game, B-E-E, because I was beekeeping.
Yeah.
And so I designed this board, and I designed the game and all the pieces and the strategy of the game. And it's a game of transformation that's an educational game for children, so they understand how honeybees and other insect pollinators work in our environment and how they are co-creating with us. And wonderful game. So I do this game, Matt. I gotta show it to you. I really have to. Okay, because it's relevant.
I'll put the slides up right now as you're describing it and talking about it, and go back in time and add the slides and stuff, and we'll do some time traveling.
I'm just gonna pick up the physical game board and show it to you.
Yeah, let's do that too. And then for more detail, I'll add a slide too. So.
Yeah, that's the easiest thing to do. So hang on a sec.
If you got it, yeah.
This is you'll laugh when you see it. You'll get it. Okay, let's see how we're gonna do this. Okay.
I like that blanket you have behind you too on the sofa there. That's a Native American thing?
I think it's kind of like kilim from like Iraq, Iran, that kind of.
Okay.
Okay,
wow.
so look.
Whoa, skull and crossbones here.
Well,
it's like a daisy of death.
those are the toxins in the environment that kill the bees.
Okay. All right.
So if you were to look here and you were to think density, what would you see?
I would adjust the angles on that, because that's daisy. She calls that daisy of death. I think that's and put the crystic ratios in there. The angles.
Well, I don't know how to do that. I didn't know how to do that in
There's people that could help you do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I saw was the three bands of density.
Yep. Densities, harmonic universe stuff. Yeah.
And this, and these circles.
Yeah.
Right, and these 8 paths.
Like spheres.
Yeah, to go out and collect and bring honey and bring it back to the center.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I first started to look at the chelantic stuff, I was like, wait a minute, maybe I've made a shield.
Right.
Maybe I made a shield for the bees.
Yeah. Yeah. Host shield or something.
Yeah. Because I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I'm saying?
What's on the outside of it? What's those crystal things?
So here is clear farmland where GMOs, this is toxins and pesticides.
Yeah.
And so in the game, there are moves that can happen. If you answer the right questions, you get healing pieces to put on these to heal them.
Okay.
Until the board is all healed. And it's a game where there are no losers. Right? It's designed to be a collaborative game.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win game.
Yeah. And
the kids work together. And it has a lot of sharing in it, right? And opportunities to help each other. It's a wonderful game. I was actually approved by the Philadelphia Board of Education as an educational resource.
Oh, nice. Is that for sale anywhere? Can you get that?
I wish I had the money to put this in production.
Well, maybe there's a reason for that, because I mean, there's some KSers that could help you with the ratios on that for sure, the angles. That might be it.
There you go, right?
Yeah, because if you had a crystal spiral right in the middle of that, that would be really powerful. Yeah.
Okie dokie then.
Yeah.
So this has been sitting. I've kept this and 3 versions of this game in my house alive, tested it, played it with kids, took it into schools, and I'm like, I know I made this for a reason.
Yeah, yeah.
But then when I saw when I was introduced to the other work, I thought, oh, that could be a shield. The bees. I don't know, but anyway, I want to show it.
That's beautiful.
So if the ratios are off, let's fix them.
Absolutely. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah. And keep everything else, you know, it's all, that's...
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I always knew that somebody who had more talent than I have would be able to take that design to another level.
Right, right.
And then I just didn't know how to do that.
And this was around when you were introduced to KISS. So how did you get introduced? Like, what's the story with that?
Oh, the beekeeping story? Oh my God.
Into KS.
Okay. So I'm just off and on over the years, I've done checking in on YouTube and looking at, researching stuff like the Anunnaki and the history and all. Okay, so I'm gonna let this settle out a minute. And I had seen the Project Camelot interviews, and I thought that's interesting. But there's something I'm curious about this, but something I don't know.
You had seen Camelot interviews already at this point. Okay, all right.
This was in...
That was 2010 when they came out, I believe.
Well, I didn't see them until...
later.
Last summer?
Okay.
Right?
Oh, very recent, yeah.
And I'm looking, and I thought, this is interesting. Wonder what's going on here. So then I was poking around, and then I found this one channel. It had sliders, right? It had all the sliders. And I was like, oh, wow, this is really interesting. And then it led to an archive. I'm not going to say where.
Yeah.
And I went in and I was like, wow. And it was so wonderful, Chris. It was so wonderful because there I found the PDF of the Keylontic Science Dictionary,
Mm-hmm.
and all this other stuff. And it was just like Christmas.
Yeah.
Interdimensional Christmas.
Yeah, right.
And I thought, oh my God, this is amazing, right? But I still felt in places something was, I thought, well, let me observe and discern. I'm just going to observe and discern.
And this is like the old work and the new work stuff that you're seeing, like all of it. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm so excited. And then one day I went back to that YouTube channel. It had been shut down
Okay.
for
The
copyright
sliders.
infringement.
Yeah,
I was like,
right.
oh. Now, but the Guardians were like, no worries. Here, go here, go
Yeah,
here.
yeah, there's always a route now. It's available for sure. Yeah.
And that's how I found it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought there was something familiar. And I recognized a lot of stuff.
Mm.
And I thought, okay, I'll continue. And they were the Guardians are like, watch, you gotta watch. I said, why?
Is this mainly older stuff, like the old?
All of it, whatever I could get, whatever they put
yeah.
in front of me.
It's mainly what's out there now. It's the older material. But did you find the Anaiis website at all? See KDDLs, any of that? It's a little harder to find. Yeah.
I went and looked, and I found. Then I learned about the split,
Mm-hmm.
and then I learned about the legal battle between Asan and Ashiana, or Asia, she calls herself now.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Toth shut them down.
Mm.
I was so sad. I knew immediately because I saw it in one of the videos. I saw it when she got checkerboarded. They transmitted in one of the videos. You could see it.
Mm.
And I thought, oh man, shut down. And then the Guardians were like, yes, it's been shut down. And there's been good reason for it to be shut down because some things have come through corrupted, but it can't stay shut down. There's more work to do.
Mm.
So get ready because you're gonna be part of the work that needs doing.
So do you feel that the new information she's presenting is like all her line got shut down? Is that what you're saying? Or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And maybe not permanently. Hopefully not permanently, but for now. In the meantime, we're on the bridge. We're in the ascension process. The gates are open. Right? The work has to go on. It can't be at a dead standstill. There's more to do. So then,
have you seen her new material and like felt that yourself, like that it's off and like it doesn't resonate with you, like any of the new stuff? I know it's harder to like.
Chris, I've just been really careful.
Okay, all of us have. Yeah.
After the split, yeah, it was just like, just observe.
No, it used to be, I mean, before the split, I would just take everything in with absolute trust because I knew that it had that same KS theme to it. You know, you do this and then this snaps on here, like all these pieces snap together. And then after the failsafe, I think there was more of an error of like, we need to slow down. Like there's half the people are gone now. Cathara got shut down. Like what is going on here? Right. And a lot of us been extremely cautious with that now, including myself. You know, I've really slowed down on the activations and the timing that I do them, and just seeing what am I bringing into my body, what experiences am I having, you know. But looking back, I mean, I can say that the Trua activation, which came out with KDDL 1, was a very powerful one for me, and it followed suit with the Elaisa activations.
I thought we were everything from and I haven't seen it all yet.
Right.
But up through about 2011.
Okay.
And a little bit beyond, I didn't catch anything.
Okay. Yeah.
That really, like all my senses went off and went, mm-mm.
We're doing Sliders 11 tonight, so maybe if you can make it and check it out.
Where are you doing it?
It's on the Skypod. It's on our group, the KS Reality
Okay.
Skypod. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to check that out,
Yeah.
right?
We'll do a watch party tonight. Yeah.
Because I feel like the work has been going on, and like part of me was like,
There's a lot of overtones and undertone stuff that's kind of around it now, and you've got to you got to use a lot more discernment with it. You really do, and it's talking to a whole range of things that we're dealing with now too in our own templates since after 2012 and all this.
I'd actually like to hear about that if you would care to share.
Yeah, which part?
Well, I wouldn't want to know what it was like for people who were inside of this, because I was outside of it the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like to be inside of it and then have the shield split and feel in yourself what you felt you could safely kind of hold on to? I think the plasma stuff is brilliant, right? And it still felt clean to me. But I'd love to hear about what your experience was like going through that, because I was on the outside.
I never went to an actual workshop, believe it or not. I came in with the Camelot interviews, like right at like 2010, and I had read the Voyagers 2 book, received some massive activations from that. That was in 2001, just by even holding the book, and it came to me 3 times in my life. I was in Sedona, it came back to me then. I had more activations there. That was like 2002. And then it just having that information of like a cathartic grid and seeing all the work that had been out there before, I knew that she was connected to something that I was a part of. So I had that kind of preface before coming into the actual group in 2010. So 2010, it gave me like 2 years to kind of start the bioregenesis and get that going, like in preparation for this big split thing. And I always I'm in the spirit of paying it forward. If I'm receiving something, I want to give back to that source of where I got that from in that same spirit, So that's what I felt compelled to do in this group. And I started my own groups where we could all meet online, and that's what the Skypod is. And during that 2012 event, it was at full tilt. It was at max capacity the Skypod was running. We had people from India, from China, from Australia, like little shields around the world that were participating in it. And I kind of went into autopilot with the new material and with AL-Hum-Bhra and stepped down. I got it, everything just clicked. And I was helping a lot of people understand the new activations and how they all work. So I know that that's a family code thing that's inside me also. And when the Elaisans came on, it was like, okay, I can clock out now. I don't need to work anymore. This is where I can relax. And that it was like, family is here on planet. I'm here. Everything's fine. And that's where I've been ever since. And just kind of easing through this and, using discernment at the same time, seeing how it's affected so many people and trying to piece all this together, with the old timers and the Cathara team members and hearing their stories and just the passion in their voice and the tears from their soul, of what they went through. So there's a lot of healing that's happened from then and now, and I've been at a position to witness it, and it's ongoing.
I feel that. And I feel one of the reasons that it sort of fell on me when it did was because the healing is happening. And people, I can only imagine what that was like for anybody who was on the inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
And on so many levels, that would have been really, really, Toth he's an expert at heartbreak. That's one of his calling cards.
And it is new councils, and I think, and I don't know to what extent, like when you said that you've had the guardians speak with you, if you felt the upgrades of different guardians or councils, but that's what this has all been about, is completely about new councils, new vibes that you're feeling, new protocol even, procedures, how things are done. This completely moved into an era of self-healing after 2012 with the AL-Hum-Bhra. It's all about sovereignty. It's all about you doing your own work. There's no Cathara team transmitting energy anymore because of the fatality virus, everything that was taught. So there was awareness that was presented that there was a virus that was being transmitted, and that's, probably the Tothian influence thing that you're saying also. So all that was shut down, ordinations, everything, which was a huge heartbreak for all of us. I was ordained. I got a level 2, 3, and I wanted to keep going,
Sure.
I was anticipating that. But I do fully understand at this point how self-healing is essential right now with the dynamics in our atmosphere that's happening, in our environment, that's happening around us. We need to start pulling in, tightening the cloisters and the shields right now. I think that's essential.
That's the memo that I've gotten, because I was doing hands-on healing for years.
Yeah.
And in the last 2 years, it's like everybody's got to do their own healing now. You can stand and hold space for them.
Right.
You can assist them with some by creating an environment that is frequency enabled and enriched, so they can pick it up, but they got to do it.
Right. Yeah.
And so that was one of the really most interesting parts about this most recent workshop with the protocol, was standing around, having this person have access to the essences, and then holding space while he explored his own path of self-healing.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious, obviously, still.
Yeah. I'm curious for you too, to see this, how this is going to go. I mean, I would like to do a follow-up after, I think you're in KS Newcomers. There's a lot of information there. I've got a plasma catch-up Dropbox link, of all. I'm just documenting my own journey, of what I felt, and just paying it forward still, and sharing it with others. Maybe they'll have an experience with it too. There was a solar plexus healing. There's
well, can I ask you about that? Because the information I'm working with, maybe it's an interesting. When we were doing the essence work in 2017 in Scotland, it's a long story. I won't go into it now, though. It might be nice for follow-up. When our central bliss channels opened up, as we were interacting with the elementals in a very clearly conscious, collaborative way. Air, water, fire. I mean, it was conscious. It was relationship.
What year again?
2017.
2017.
I don't have a solar plexus chakra anymore.
Okay.
That overlay, that what I call the Vesica Pisces 7 chakra system overlay, that so many people have worked with over the years. In my team, that's gone. We don't have the 3rd chakra anymore.
See, that's interesting, because I've been making posts about that too, with the chakra removals and things, that's out there. That's pinging something in me that I need to look at a little further too. Of course, some KS, there's some flack from that. Like, no, I mean, because KS goes intricately into the chakra system. So
I know.
Yeah, it expands into it.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm aware of that. I am saying that we went from the 7 chakra Tothian overlay.
Okay.
And I don't know if you're familiar with the work of Richard Rudd and the Gene Keys.
The Gene Keys?
Yeah. No. But in his book, which was channeled by someone named Ra,
okay,
he says that in the new awakening, that the 3rd chakra, the solar plexus, will become the new mind. And I'm like, baby, it's all about right here. So something is off.
Well, I mean, there's science to that too, because there's a whole neural network that's in your gut, and that's why they say, like, follow your gut whenever you get impulse type things. But there's a primal sense too.
Yes, but the vagus nerve is plugged into the spleen, and the vagus nerve is a mutation.
Okay. See, that's another interesting thing, because I made this really clear for people to see the distinctions of the new and the old stuff, because she used to teach that the vagus nerve was a distortion. That was in Sliders 1. And now with the Elaisa teaching, she's saying that they're actually working through the Elaisa nerve as they're making passages through that. So it's not about getting rid of things, it's about transfiguring and working through them. You know, that's what the Elaisa teachings. Yeah.
I think this is great, right?
Okay. You've got to see this, yeah.
I got to see this.
You got to see it.
The experience that I'm having is that we don't have a third chakra anymore. We have these big areas, and then when I saw the lotus petals, I was like, oh, well, that's what we got.
Right.
Cool. But what I have experienced is that if you're not really diligent, and there's always more work and paying attention, that there's a diversion that happens from the area that could be identified as the solar plexus area in the dream time, that diverts off and through the spleen goes into the shadow dancer territory.
Okay.
Yeah,
because we do go to our stomach area when we sleep. I know that too. There's a nadio capsule type thing.
Yeah. So I can attest from my personal experience that there can be a diversion into the spleen, and from the spleen into the shadow dancer territory.
This is fascinating conversation here. We're getting into some territory here. So this is another thing with the split that happened, that the new teachings are saying, is that external creation pretty much has been compromised, and now that's where the plasma, there's plasmas in external, there's internal creation plasma also. So what we've been taught is to work with, that's what the seed atom journey is about on the Anaiis website, is that you need to anchor in that seed atom from internal creation first, the eternal living seed atom. And we had two seed atoms. We had an external one way back in the Tenerife workshop that was called the Taurin light seed, and I think that was the external external creation seed atom.
That sounds right. That sounds like it would be right. Yeah. Okay.
So now you're talking about the anatomy and the chakra system, so it would make sense that we have an external light body also that, may have been compromised, and now we have this new network that's coming online, like the new plasma body stuff. So.
Yeah, and that's really something that I can feel. Like after doing this workshop this past weekend, there were people in our group who went right into their divine blueprint. And there's a meditation that I've given them that sparks everything. And then they could feel, and then after this, what do you call it? The Yan Yun? Yeah. They were introduced into those energy flows, and then they went right there using the protocol and the essences. They went right there, and it blew open. It blew open for them without going into the Kundalini awakening, which can again get diverted into the caduceus pattern, right? Which is a corruption. So I think we're sort of, it's like, for me, what I'm feeling has been going on has been like laser surgery.
Oh, yeah.
Like go in and very carefully pick this part out.
Yeah.
Right? And either leave it alone or replace it with some portion of the divine blueprint. And bring those two things together so they become harmonious. And then but the plasma now, so the people that we could feel energy running through all of our meridians in our bodies, the flows. And then, like I've been working with the water, so that hydroacoustic jelly stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm really so grateful, because at least I can find somewhat similar descriptions to what I've been experiencing. And go, okay, is there anything else I need to know about this? How do I use this? How do I share this? How does this fit into the conscious co-creation dynamic that I'm in? Because for me, my tagline is everything is energy, everything is information, everything is frequency, everything is conscious, everything is in relationship. That's it. Those are the bottom line. So how do I navigate this? And how is my physical body going through now, which you could call it, I think it was called deification?
Yeah.
And then I was going through something a couple of weeks ago before this protocol came in. I was like, okay, what are we doing here? And it was like, well, this is the beginning of transfiguration. I'm like, really? Well, why don't I just put it on the back burner and leave that? Because I don't need to think about that. If it's an organic, natural process, it's going to unfold. I don't have to worry about it. But I was surprised by the word.
Kind of like transmutation has been used a lot, but transfiguration. It's a
This
little more
was
intricate.
Specifically transfiguration. Yep. Transmutation, I've been doing that for years.
Yep,
this was transfiguration.
There's a different tone to transfiguration for sure.
And it had to do with the physical body, and it had to do, from what I understand, of being able to ascend in the body. I'm like, whatever. Whatever. We're going to do what we can do. We're going to go as far as we can go. And then if we're on fail-safe evac, I feel like the last year I've been like a tour guide. I've been like, okay, this is your gate. And are you going by plane? Are you going by train? Are you going by boat? Yeah. How do you want to go? Come on, everybody on board. We're going.
Yeah.
That's been going on like a lot.
Get on the bus.
Get on the bus.
Yeah.
Tour guide.
Yeah. When you say conscious dynamics too, it's another thing to consider in the split is the emotional and mental conscious dynamics that are healing from this too. And I think that's what a lot of us are weeding through, is to try to fathom what just took place, you know, the whole business, the company, the people, the organization, everything. There's a lot of processing involved in that, you know.
Okay, I'm going to share this with you. In looking at the material, this was something that I felt was really missing. There's always talk about the Azure.
Yeah.
Not about the heart. And I felt that while there was talk about the shadow and the shadow dancer and all the terrible things I was going to do, there was not sufficient in my mind teaching about the snake energy, different group of people or beings, and how I've done a whole course on this called the Wisdom Body, which has to do with the snake energy creating these awful emotional templates that very much encase the core wound, the emotional core wound, that generates the energy that feeds the dancer. And I felt in the teaching and the work that I saw, there was not sufficient education on that point or on the relationship to the heart. And like the Sacred Master Key, like my course in Conscious Co-Creation, like the Wisdom Body course, I've been kind of working on a parallel track of education, because we need to understand the separate, overlapping spiritual, energetic, physical, emotional, intellectual, mental interference, and how these have come together like a giant crazy Lego set, and how people are damaged. And if you don't have the charge, what I call charge, what your people call quanta, I just call the charge. If you don't have enough charge, you can't bump up into a larger container of consciousness to even see that stuff, to begin to work with it.
Right. Yeah, I think we're seeing some of the picture in the group still. I will say there's been, she came out kind of standing apart from the New Age community, talking about the heart being it's a passage to the astral realm, and there's been so much interference through that area, you know, through the heart, and I think that was kind of maybe overpronounced to some extent, to where she wasn't pronouncing what you're saying as much, you know, or balancing it, maybe.
It might have been fear. It's a very frightening place.
Yeah.
But you need that information needs to be shared, and people need to know that they can go into the heart and travel to, how have I'm in all these other dimensional spaces
Mm-hmm.
from here.
It's from the heart always.
From here.
That's the entry exit. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I feel that part of what's happening is there's a kind of a coming together again,
Right.
in a new way, and I feel like awesome about it. And we'll find our way through it, right?
Mm. It is awesome seeing the new people come on like yourself. I mean, it's very inspiring just to hear the other perspectives here. Yeah, I think it's much needed. I mean, we as a group just kind of solidify in one way, so we need to have that mixture and just things to kind of blend a little better with the world that we reside in here around other people, and not just all chaos oriented, this and that. There needs to be a lot more blending, I think.
Well, that may be part of the Blender's agenda.
Yeah.
And it's just coming in now, right?
Mm-hmm.
From different perspectives, different angular rotations of particle spin.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting.
There were even contracts that she was specifying, like Sliders 10, she's talking about menders, benders, blenders. These contracts of people that are going to come on board and do this, and then we didn't hear anything else about it again. And it's like back to the timeline of events and things.
I think both things are happening simultaneously.
Yeah.
One of the other skills that I have is to construct or deconstruct a timeline, or to insert a timeline. Because the other information I got in the 1989 experience was that I was here from the quote future, and I had come back to help with the corrections. And so that's been cool. And recently I have been feeling that there is somewhere in my probable selves, there is a geneticist from the future who's helping me now. Because that's how we're opening. Like you wouldn't it be amazing to develop a conscious relationship with all 144 of your probable selves? Like, what do they know? So I think we're just getting started.
Yeah. Right. This is integration, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. So I'm so grateful. You have no idea how grateful I am. I'm being careful about boundaries. And maybe we need to have a conversation about how do I share and how do I get people flowed in, and even how is there a legitimate kosher way for me to really synthesize what I consider to be my work with the guardians and the beloved, and what the KS is all about.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been a thing for me. Like, I've been working with people that have clients, and it's almost like echoes from the Cathara team that's like reemerging through the shield. Like, they resonate with this, they want to come in doing Cathara, and running frequency to other people's templates and doing this. They don't want to stop, they want to just keep giving. So
I don't run frequency to other people's templates. I make the array of frequencies available. Now maybe that makes me a combination maybe of a blender and a mender. But in the last year, it's been very clear to me, especially since the essences came in, it's like this person needs to choose, and you can open wide a space for them to come in once they've chosen, but then they have to keep choosing again, and don't interfere with them.
Right.
Just make the frequency and the information, or what I call the plasma energy, make it available, Open up that space, give them enough context for them to be able to choose at a conscious level, and then step back. And I have decades of hands-on healing. I don't know. I'm just being cautious, I think.
Yeah.
Can be such a weird power trip. It really can be. I mean, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Weird power trip. Not pretty.
What do you feel with the New Age community right now? Like, where do you feel like overall where people are at with that, like trying to be healers and things? What do you see?
Oh, I think they're all getting poised to be taken over by Fatali.
Okay.
I'm serious about
Seeing
that.
a lot of it myself too.
Yeah.
Just real gung ho, you know, like a little too ambitious, a little too zealous.
And I've had some personal interactions with people who are all over that stuff who have zero integrity.
Right. Completely out of place, out of alignment.
Out of alignment, but pretending like they are.
Right.
Coaches.
Yeah.
Horrifying. They're dangerous. But I do see them poised. But I mean, where I'm feeling I am is like I'm doing something different.
Right.
I'm on the bridge. I'm on Gaia's ascension. I'm with her. There's so much more that has happened, Chris. I am with her. And I'm on the bridge. And there are people, like, I'm not concerned anymore about the people who didn't make it to the bridge. I'm not concerned about them at all. They chose.
Okay. Yeah, there's a
And
distinction
now,
there to not be concerned.
Yeah, they chose.
Right. Because the heart chords can get played with that too, you know?
Not mine.
Yeah.
I am a one-touch blankety blank. Because we are down to that point where there is the separation has already happened.
The choice has already been made.
The choice has already been made.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It really has. Yeah. And there was a 5-year extension.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'd never heard that presented before, but yeah, something to look at.
From what I feel, it's legitimate. I'm seeing validation.
No, I'm seeing all kinds of, like, last call, how many years later? Like, come on. I mean, you've kind of made your mind up at this point by your actions, what you're doing. Yeah, it becomes alligator tears after a while. And
yeah. So I'm frequency-wise and work-wise, and I'm not there anymore. I'm 3D and I are gone, except when I have to go, like, get my driver's license renewed or something. And those kind of interactions that I have to kind of consciously step down to go into that environment. But I always go in carrying the energy that I have, except when I forget. Then usually those transactions just go really beautifully. When I forget, they become fractious and complicated and convoluted and a mess. And then that's my bad because I forgot.
Yeah.
But I'm not there anymore. And I mean, even like people who've been like, I have no clients right now. I'm working on developing these clinics. I feel like there's going to be an opportunity for me to take this protocol around healing this immortal cancer cell stuff that's in everybody's body if they had a vaccine, from polio virus on up.
From what year do you think? You said it was 52 when
1952 began that invasion. Lots of people. And it's about that seed atom, the spiritual one and the physical one.
It's the Earth seed atom too. Like it's been constant back and forth with Earth's Metatronic seed atom and the Crystal seed atom, and putting a cap on it and then popping off and all this crazy. That's been ongoing. Yeah.
So the protocol that I feel where I'm going is, look, if you are on the bridge, that's great. And to get you through the gates, whether you Bardo out or we've got to go back to the very moment the first mutation happened,
Mm-hmm.
which is in the 6-day cell.
All right, the donated verbatim quantum, the parent cell, donated
Yeah,
parent cell.
AYA, the cloak of AYA.
Okay.
That mutation, oh, I promised I wouldn't curse.
I felt it anyway.
Ooh, but the sperm that he donated is the cause of that mutation.
Mm.
And it is part of what has kept genetically spliced people enslaved. Like they can't break out of these bounded states of consciousness. There are genetic barriers to doing that. So that's where I'm at right now. It's like we have got to go in and release these genetic mutation barriers for those who want to live on Earth 2.0 and who want to be in alignment with Gaia.
And then the food, the chemtrails, the spraying, and all this, like, is just trying to amp up the mutations present.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. It's an inside-outside kill.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to work, but, you know, they're really giving it a good old try. And so there are people that I organized last year a 5G summit to talk about the frequencies that are going to be coming in with the 5G rollout.
Yeah.
And that's going to tweak people who have the mutations.
Oh, yeah.
And their genetic splices are going to come undone. And they're going to end up in a healthcare system that's going to bankrupt them and then kill them. So I'm on a different trajectory right
Almost
now.
feels like a peripheral view of timelines happening elsewhere, you know? Like, that's not happening in my reality. It's just
Not
like
happening in
passing
my
by.
reality either. No, that's the 3D matrix reality.
There's people getting sick and sicker and just keep making these decisions. And
yeah.
I mean, there's, to some extent, you're almost seeing the divide of what beings can still reincarnate here also. Like, they can't keep up with the frequencies too. You're almost like right at the gate, you know, just observing all this is crazy.
Yeah, it's intense. It's very intense.
Yeah.
And there's still compassion and forgiveness and grace.
Yeah.
And, you know, if somebody has a spontaneous eruption, then they're going to explode onto the bridge and you're not going to have to worry about it. They might explode onto the bridge and be a bit of a mess, but they're going to explode onto the bridge. And then there needs to be a way to help them reintegrate and heal themselves if they choose that. Yeah, it's complicated. So I'm really pretty much, you know, what I call the black hole worm, that whole thing it's already separated. Gaia has already jettisoned that.
Do you feel like there's safe passage right now happening, like safe bardo that's offered? Or do you think, okay, a lot of that emphasis on that right now? Yeah, that's what's being taught too. That's actually the true activations where she came out starting to say that's been enabled and that's fixed right now. Density 1, like there's two paths. There's the path of true with transfiguration, and then the path of safe bardo through that plasma frequency.
Yeah.
Yep. These are just names, you know. You're talking about terms that you already understand, the same language, but here's the names, you know. She's just kind of putting,
I have to tell you, the terminology just wipes me out.
Yeah.
It's like me trying to learn how to speak Navajo, you know. It's like, oh my God,
right. That's a lot of us, you know, trying to keep up.
Whoa. And then the further you go along, it's like one whole paragraph, and it's all, and I'm like, I'm sorry, just give me the encryption, give me the energy.
Yeah. That's how Voyager's 2 was. It was like Greek, you know, it's flashing through it, but I'm getting something, you know. I'm just like, what is that? I don't know what that means, but I know it. You know.
Yeah, let me like.
I got to the back where the Cathargrid was and the Mahark shield. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, here it is.
Yeah. And because I'm so orb oriented, I have to say that I wasn't feeling the Cathargrid.
Okay.
I'm still not feeling it.
Okay. Well, what about the Tree of Life? You've seen that out there?
I have. I know that that's wrong. Okay. I know that the Fibonacci spiral is wrong.
Yeah.
I know that. But I am not
Well, it's external creation at this point too, so that might be why there's a lot that's been reversed and different things too right now.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out I mean, like we all come from source, right? But you gotta kind of try to find like your pathway,
Yeah, yeah,
internal creation out. And I've been going back and I'm like, oh wow, I've got that. Well, oh wow, I've got that. Oh, well then, I better just keep working.
yeah,
What it comes down to, and keep listening and keep trusting
yeah,
and keep reaching out and finding other people who've already made it to the bridge.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think we're bridge people right now.
Where does
But
ETs come into all this? Like ET families, and you said Pleiades. You played in earlier.
yeah, and I remember a an a and let's call it an incarnation around 250,000 years ago, and I remember that like being on the Pleiadian crew, and I remember the whole plasma ship thing.
Mm.
Like I have a plasma ship.
Okay,
I
I
have
feel
one,
that too. Yeah.
and I've taken people on it, and we've ridden on timelines,
Mm.
right? Because I mean, part of me really is here from what would be thought of as the future.
Yeah.
So there's that part. Oh, and so it's how do we flow through all of this and just flow and not get hung up on hierarchy or like don't no just flow
Mm.
and do your work,
Yeah.
do the work and share when you can, but don't let anyone be a taker with you because that whole paradigm is falling apart. That's going with 3D. The whole taker thing is going.
Mm.
So it's a lot to keep up with. And right now, like I had an angle of rotation particle spin change. I could go back in my journal and tell you what day that happened. And it still hasn't settled out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just starting. My hologram is just beginning.
Maybe linked with the Schumann resonance waves too that are happening. All these readout. I love the readouts of the Schumann resonance when they flip, when they spike, and all these things that happen
Yeah.
in your own life with the Earth. While it's being affected.
Yeah, I
Gaia.
stopped watching that a little while ago because I was like, I don't know if I want to know any more about this.
No.
But it's a thing. It's a thing,
Yeah, it's a
right?
thing. Yeah, that's what
And
I like about it. It's a
yeah,
thing.
and then I had an interaction with a Fatali twin.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Talk about
I
a
might have too.
training.
Yeah.
Whoa. That that's kind of what culminated from like March of 2017 when I met that person in a body.
Okay.
A very strong, powerful past life connection that was bad for me, man. I lost my head. My head got cut off.
Oh, literally.
Literally. But it was a power dynamic monarchy royal family kind of thing. Like
Mm.
that timeline had to be cleaned up.
Mm-hmm.
But this person ended up being one of those new agers who has been infected.
Mm.
And he was coming for me.
Did you know it right off, or was there
Not
any
right
connection at
off.
all? There was a
Not
connection
right
at first.
off.
Yep. Yep.
Not right off.
It's a powerful thing when you connect those lower chakra stuff. It's pretty
Wow.
powerful.
And it was absolutely boom through the solar plexus.
Oh.
Not through the heart.
Okay.
And I had to sort that out, and I kept sorting. I was like, whoop, whoop. Close one, close, very, very close for me, very close.
Wow.
Scary. There was a point at which we would come into a common energetic space, usually at night. And there was this one time I mean, Chris, we could talk for years. There's this one time where I felt this, for me, it was an energetic entity that showed up through this person's field, 100% pure hatred of the feminine. I do mean pure hatred. And its intent was to kill me. And I kind of held space, and I was like, well, can't really kill me. I don't think I need to waste my time trying to tell that to this thing, because I'm just going to hold space.
Right. You don't engage. That's where it gets messy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to waste my charge that way.
Yep. Yep.
And I just held the space and held the space and held the space. And, and then it was like getting that I wasn't going to succumb.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is where you get to leave. You have a choice. I'm giving you the choice. This is where you get to leave, if you want to choose that. Let's start there. Very calm. And it left. I said, why don't you just choose to go back where you came from? I'm not even going to bother doing anything else.
And then in 3D, was it fluid departure type thing?
Yeah, we ended up having a really, really, really beautiful unhooking. And from my end, it was really loving. And he was able to receive that. And we went through, a lot of it had to do with the emotional work that I took him through.
Yeah.
Because he came in and he was doing my programs, and I was like,
it's pretty recent.
Yeah, it was all 2017.
It's ongoing. It's still going.
Oh, yeah. God. And then at the end of that, I kind of worked that through, and I was like, oh my God, great, I dodged a bullet. But then in September, after the crop circle showed up in my garden, and all
we got to talk about that too.
Yeah, new frequencies were coming in. Maybe we should stop here and do another conversation.
That's fine. I'm feeling that too.
Send you some pictures.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important for people to know about and in detail, in the specificity.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Totally.
Plus the lights coming in now. I'm gonna have to put some glasses on in a minute.
Yeah, that's plenty for now, and we'll do a follow-up. Sure.
Oh my gosh, look what time it is.
I know.
Ooh,
My daughter's back from school now too.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I mean, this is really inspiring, amazing, everything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I think I may grab something to eat and go through my laundry in the dryer. And then what time is this?
My laundry's in the dryer too. It's 3:30 here. So.
Okay, it's earlier. What time is the Skypod? What time is Finest 11 happening tonight?
So it's gonna start I'm gonna start at an hour early tonight at 6. So in about like another 2.5 hours, and then we're just gonna do the whole workshop all the way through with the activations, everything, like a watch party. I don't leave them up because I'm trying to find that. I'm not endorsed by Anaiis. I've been trying to work with them for years now, but just because of the copyright thing, I wanted to hold respect for that too, and that's a whole nother conversation.
It is. We had that conversation in the workshop that I just did. I said, we're going to have to find a way where I can acknowledge what part of this is a synthesis of that information. It's going to have to be a separate booklet. I'm going to have to send them a tithing of some kind. I don't know how to work it out. I mean, that's a conversation. Right. Maybe we could figure that out, because there has to be that part.
Yeah. No, you're right. Absolutely.
Cool.
There's got to be a connection there. All right, let's catch up soon after some of the new stuff too, techniques and everything.
Wonderful. Hopefully, if you could send me a link, or is it in Facebook, then I'll do my best to show up tonight. I think that would be awesome.
I definitely will.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you.
Bye.